Thanks, Sina. Just wanted to say I'm excited, as always, to be here this evening or this afternoon, wherever you are. And excited about October as well. Lots of things to look forward to. And as always, I hope that we could use this time together to dive into perhaps my core message, which is always the same, that it may not be as hard as we think it is, or take as long as we think it might, to find stable peace. And it's a subject that's come up several times this week, so I think it's worth looking into. What is it that when we do that gives us this stable, effortless peace, this cessation of suffering, and really what can we do right now today to bring more peace into our life? What is it that when we really get a handle on it, it really begins to change our life for the better? So I thought that we could talk about it a little bit, and then maybe we do a little meditation and put it into practice. And then hopefully there'll be some time for some questions when we've finished, before we finish rather. So what is peace, and why do we all want it? Of course, it feels nice. It feels relaxing to the body, increasingly so the more that we feel it. But what really is it? What is it that, when it changes, really begins to allow us to feel peace? And if we get right down into the mechanics of suffering, what is it about that that really feels bad? And it is always and only the fact that we are in argument somehow with reality, with this moment, with ourselves or with someone else. There is some argument going on inside our being, pushing against reality. Something is here, perhaps, that we don't want, and we're pushing against it, or something is here and trying to leave and we want it to stay. And whenever we feel that we're resisting what is in this moment, we're going to feel disturbed. We're going to feel not at all at peace. So how do we stop resisting what is? How do we stop our argument with ourselves? Most of us, in fact, everybody that I've ever come across, is at least arguing with themselves to some degree. What do I mean by that? We all have some idea of how we feel we should be, or where we would like to be in our life, in our relationships, in our career, perhaps in our family, in our awakening. And for most people, that doesn't correspond to where they feel they currently are. For a lot of beings, there is a huge gap between where they would like to be and where they feel they are right now in this moment. That really is the root cause of suffering, wanting to be somewhere or something other than what we are right now in this moment, or wanting someone else to be other than they are in this moment, or wanting the self to be something other than it is in this moment. Is that ever, then when we look at that, is that ever achievable? If we can sort of really look at why we suffer, we might be able to bring that to a halt faster, to undo the mechanism that causes suffering within us. All of us are generally trying to change ourselves, trying to change what is. And I know we've said it before, but it's worthwhile saying again that it's really impossible to change what is. Right now, all this is manifested this way. The shapeless, formless being has taken this particular shape. All of us together here in our life circumstances, however they are in this moment for each one of us. This is reality right now, as it is, with whatever condition our bodies are in, whatever condition our finances, our relationships are in, whatever is happening to our emotions, to our thoughts, whatever we're experiencing right now, is what already is. And trying to change it then is the root of suffering, because we're trying to bake the cake after it's already come out of the oven. It's done and it's finished. Can we really do anything about what's already finished in here? And perhaps even closer than that, would we really want to if we weren't listening to our thoughts about what is? Most of us are so, I know that I was for a very long time, so lost in our thoughts that I really had no clue what reality actually even looked like without experiencing it through my virtual reality that I had going on. My thoughts were given so much validity that I experienced those over and over again rather than the actual essence of everything. So, why are we trying to change? Why are we constantly in this action of trying to manipulate this moment? Why are we constantly trying to find something better than what we feel we have right now? And is that working for us? Is that really producing effortless peace that is becoming more and more stable and constant? And if that isn't working, why don't we stop that? How does it continue? Most of us perhaps are at the point where we realize by the time we end up in a session like this that pushing against this moment isn't really working for us. In fact, it is the root cause of disturbance. Why is it then still going on? And for most of us, it's simply a habit that perhaps we haven't really known any other way. And perhaps we've been operating from this idea that by rejecting how this all is right now, or trying to, because it's actually impossible to change what's already shown up, we can change it as it's emerging. We can change, sculpt manifestation as it is emerging, but not once it's already shown up. And we're constantly living in the residual reflection of our thoughts. Our inner world is constantly showing up as our outer world with a little bit of time delay. So if we can come to recognize that, then what we're seeing and experiencing is the result of our perception, what we have been giving attention to. And then we can switch that attention to more and more being aware of the essence of everything, the essence of our self, that which is reality. Then we're going to begin to find peace much more easily. Firstly, just stopping trying to change what's already shown up, because it's pointless. You can't sculpt the clay when it's already been baked and painted and glazed. There's no way to do it after that, is there? And yet we all try. And then to realize that maybe it's not actually what is that's disturbing us. Maybe it's our thoughts about what is. Maybe when we experience everything directly without the mind, we'll find that it's actually not troubling us. And so to begin to really look at these two things, is it really working to push against what's already shown up for me? And why am I so sure that I need to push against it? Is it really the outer thing that's happening in my life, or the inner emotion that I'm feeling that's disturbing me? Or is it something much more simple? Is it the simple sense that this moment shouldn't be how it is? Because if it really is the things in our life disturbing us, or whatever emotions, then there's not very much we can do about that. But if instead it's really only our thoughts that are disturbing us, and that it's possible to go through reality, our normal everyday experiences without suffering at all when we're not listening to our thoughts, then that puts us right back in the driving seat then, because we're always able to make the choice to question our thoughts rather than believing them. When we begin to see that our thoughts don't have the importance that perhaps we might have realized before, and that whatever we experience, even a beautiful experience in our life, is going to be colored by whatever we're thinking about it. That even if we somehow did get our life to look like we want it to, we still wouldn't be able to enjoy it because we'd still be listening to the thoughts about what is. And this isn't to make our mind wrong, it's just to recognize that there is a nicer, easier way to experience reality, to experience this moment. And it's simply allowing those thoughts to be there, making no effort to change them. Mind is going to commentate like it does on what is happening right now. Maybe even right now it's having a discussion going on about what it thinks is happening or what this talk probably means. But do we have to listen to that? And do we have to agree with it? And do we have to push it away? What if we can allow everything as it really is in this moment, our thoughts, our emotions, our experience, our energy, our body, however it feels, whatever is going on in our environment in this moment? What happens when we let it all be exactly as we find it in this moment? Where did we get this idea from that pushing against something is pushing against what is here now is how to get what we want anyway? Where did that idea come from? Has it really ever been true? I can't ever remember a time where I got what I wanted by pushing against what already is. And yet I tried it for an extraordinarily long time, as we all do. And it seems counterintuitive, at least at first, to just stop fighting, to just give up, trying to change what has already happened. But as we practice this, as we practice just allowing whatever is to be, and including our thoughts, not believing them, but not rejecting them also, we come to a real deep intimacy with life, with ourselves, with other beings, with everything. It's a beautiful thing to walk around in the world and not be in argument with anything at all, to not be disagreeing with ourselves, even if we're disagreeing with another being, feeling they should be different than they are. If we're disagreeing with ourselves, we'll suffer just the same. If we're pushing against something in the world that we don't like, of course, it's okay to want things to be different in the next moment, but expecting them to be different right now is just disturbing us deeply inside. It is the cause of all of our suffering. So when we start from this place where we're just not arguing with anything anymore, and it's not an all or nothing thing. You know, each day, each one of us is arguing less with reality. And at some point, you will somehow just lose the ability to argue with anything. And it may seem strange that you ever did. And as you begin to allow what is, you begin to feel contentment and peace. It's not to say we don't have any desires or goals for our life, for our awakening, for anything. But maybe we've seen that allowing what is to be is the fastest way to get what we want, rather than what we may have believed before, that pushing against how things already are is the way to get what we want out of life, to feel how we want to feel. If I push against this emotion, it will go away and I'll feel better. If I push against this problem in my life, it will go away and I will feel better. It will change. Has that ever worked, even once? And what happens when we stop doing that? What happens when we just allow this moment? As we allow this moment to be in its fullness, however it is, we can notice our mind saying that this thing is good, this thing is bad, wanted, not wanted, all of that. And just allow that. It's just static, it's noise going on. Can it just be another thing arising, coming and going, these thoughts? Do we have to be at war even with our mind? And what happens when we just allow everything as it is right now? And we can do this right now. We can spend 10 or 15 minutes now just allowing this moment as it is, just watching whatever comes. And we can call it meditation if we like, or we can call it being the self, because that is the nature of the self, to just watch, to observe, to allow whatever's coming and going to pass in front of us. You may notice a sense that our mind is feeling that this is pointless or boring. We may feel restless that this isn't achieving anything. We can just let those come and go. How do you feel when you stop trying to get somewhere in this moment? Stop trying to change yourself or anyone else just for this moment. When you honor your being in this moment as it is right now, the invisible, formless aspect of your being, and however you're showing up in this moment, whatever thoughts, emotions, sensations, however your body feels. What does it feel like to just be here? Just setting down any argument with reality for this moment. What is it like to have no goal or motivation or intention for this time? Just allowing whatever is happening, letting go of the steering wheel for a while, putting it into neutral or cruise control or whatever, and just being here, watching whatever comes and goes. When there's nothing you need to achieve, there's nothing you need to get rid of. Whatever's happening inside your being, inside your emotions, your thoughts, just let it play. Allowing yourself the freedom totally to be whatever you look like right now, whatever shape. What happens when we don't need to change anything? And this really is awakening in this moment. Being that awakened condition, awareness, silence that is just watching, just here, just lovingly allowing whatever arises in this moment. not pushing against, and not paying attention to anything in particular, just watching it all come and go. Our mind may say that this is irrelevant, this is pointless. I don't understand this, mind might say. This isn't getting me anywhere. I can't stay like this forever. But just be like this now. Just be like this now. And enjoy. Something in our beingness just begins to relax. You're already here. You're just here. There's nothing you need to manage. This is authenticity right here. Being yourself in this moment with no idea how that should look. How it should look is exactly how you look right now. How you feel is exactly how you should feel. Whatever thoughts are coming and going are exactly what are supposed to be there. Just enjoying. Just watching. Just like this, we find contentment. Just like this, we find quietness. Our being is already quiet. It's not pushing or grabbing. It feels so good to just simply be. And we don't even need to try to stay like this. We don't need to do any of that. If at any time we find that we're trying to get somewhere again or hold on to something, you can just relax and let that go. Just having no idea at all what we're going to be like in the next moment. And not needing to know either. It's total freedom. And whatever is coming and going is just coming and going. It's nothing to do with us. It's not our job to manage all of that. And the more that we just allow this moment to be, allowing ourselves to be, and the more we fall in love with this simplicity, this simple openness. And perhaps the more we might want to continue. And nice states may come and go. Emotions may rise and fall away. Mind may be commenting as it does. And we're just watching. We're just here with the space in which it's all happening. Just watching. It's not happening to us. It's happening in us. It's simple and very quiet. Joy, contentment, peace. Just by being what you are in this moment. Allowing whatever is to be. Recognizing that by releasing, resisting, we begin to feel more like we want to anyway. We begin to relax. Can you move through your whole day like this? Can you allow everyone else to be as they are? Can you give them this gift as you're giving yourself right now? This is the greatest freedom in the simplest way. And as we just allow this moment in its fullness, then the coming and the going of all the manifestation will begin to take the shape of what we want anyway, as we just relax and watch. Each one of us can relax and allow the good things to happen in the openness, the peace, the joy. There is no greater joy than comes from being yourself, whatever that is. Recognizing that we can be at peace no matter what is happening in our mind, in our body, in our emotions, in our relationships. When we simply stop the struggle. Each time we rest like this, it's somehow harder to go back to our arguments. They're somehow further away, a little more out of our reach. The only thing we can ever really control is whether we're authentic, being ourselves in this moment. We can allow anything to occur here. We can deal with anything here. We can lovingly accept anything at all. We can make a simple choice to spend our whole lives this way, as much as possible, in each moment. Each time we choose to rest, to be authentic, it's easier and easier to choose it next time. And somehow, somewhere, we forget how to argue with life, with ourselves, with anything. So, if you have enjoyed this meditation, if you have enjoyed being whatever you are in this moment, I'd like to invite you to recognize it might be simpler than you think to choose this in every moment. That too will become a habit, habitual and effortless, and peace becomes increasingly evident and constant and stable. Peace and sometimes fear, peace and resistance, peace and joy, peace and restlessness, whatever else is occurring, but just happening inside peace, happening inside you and not to you. So I hope you enjoyed that time that we spent together. And if you like it, then you can continue. You don't have to stop just because we're opening our eyes and talking and interacting. It's very possible to move through your entire life like this if you want to. Just to recognize where we're not being authentic, where we're fighting against something, either internally or externally, and seeing if we can relax and allow what is to be, recognizing that that is the fastest way to have it turn into what we would like it to be anyway, what we would like to experience. So if anyone would like to share, we have some time. I'd love to hear your experience, or if there are any questions anybody would like to ask, we have a little bit of time to share and see what your experience of the meditation was. Hopefully we can recognize it's simpler to be at peace than we might have previously thought or experienced. Okay, JJ.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thank you. How about you?
Good. Yeah, good, thank you.
Quick question. This to me sounded very, very much like surrendering.
Yeah.
You talked about that the other day, and I was wondering if it is the same thing. And I have also another question, maybe not related directly if you have time. If not, we can do it another time. But you've been referring a lot to seeing, and I'm not clear as to what that exactly means. So that would be my two questions.
Yeah. Yeah, really what I'm talking about is surrender. It's my job is to find 100,000 ways to say the same thing, over and over again in different ways. Hopefully it might inspire someone a certain way, but it really is surrender, isn't it? Just stopping this constant trying to change everything, trying to control our experience, trying to manipulate what's happening in some effort to feel better, usually, or feel safer or something. So it really, as I was saying in Satsang, it's giving back that urge that it really isn't ours. We are just watching, which actually leads quite nicely into the second one, that seeing is all that we are doing, isn't it? We're only seeing. Do you want to explain a little bit what you mean by what you're asking about seeing?
Yeah, you've been using this word a lot. You say, in our respective path, there are moments when there is something that you call seeing, and I wasn't really clear about that. But if I may, before you get back to that, in relation to my first question, this surrendering process is kind of an interplay between the little self and the big self. And as long as the little self wants to do something, the big self will back off and let it happen. But if the little self says, okay, I'm not going to be the big self that I think I am, and I will actually surrender to the big self and pull back. In my experience, in my short experience with your teaching, miracles happen. I mean, situations have a way of being taken care of on their own, and I think there's something pretty amazing happening there.
Yeah, because what we experience as a problem isn't really a problem anyway. It is the manifestation trying to expand. And when we try to fix something, you see it as a problem, we're actually slowing down the solution, the expansion. You know, manifestation is always moving into more. So inside, more peace, more love, more joy. Outside, more depth in our relationships, more freedom financially, more time freedom, all of these ways it can. So it looks like a problem. It looks like something's going wrong, but it's actually some old structure being destroyed as it merges into appears into something new and better. So when we get out of the way of that process, some very surprising things happen. You know, and surrender is the getting out of the way, isn't it? It's like, what happens when I stop trying to get everything to look how I want it and just see if it doesn't happen anyway, all by itself without my interference, you know, in that. Yeah. And it takes as long as it takes for us to get to that point, but it gets easier with practice, doesn't it? Just when you see good things happening, when you let go this way, we're encouraged to do it more and more.
So what about seeing?
We are always seeing, aren't we? Sometimes we will see, we're watching our mind, watching our sense of someone do its thing. Sometimes we're watching ourselves, the real, the true self with a capital S. And when we start to break through and see for a moment that the real self, our true nature, then that's going to begin to happen more and more, which is what we call an insight or an epiphany. A moment spent looking at what is real is going to allow more wisdom, more peace, more light into the mind, and allow it to slow down, allow it to have some original thoughts, some aha moments, all of that. So we're always seeing. We can't not see. We're always looking at something. Just a gentle process of preferring to to see ourselves, our real selves. Does that help? Huh?
Well, yes, very much. Thank you very much.
Good. Lovely. Good to talk to you. Sophie, when you're ready.
Hello, Helen.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. I just haven't sat with you for ages, so I just really wanted to say hello again and thank you for that meditation, because I'm still there. I still feel the that state of just that relaxation is so, it feels like it's the key, really. It's a very simple key to that can lead to everything. You don't need to do anything other than that. It's to just so having said that, I'm going to ask a question which is almost like you don't need to, but I will, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's the energy of desire is something that I find very, that's what is disturbing. So it's that trying to change what is, but there's this undercurrent of just the general wanting that I think in just allowing that to be, all those desires, whatever they are, wanting whatever, love, wanting security, whatever they are, just to come and go, because those are the ones that energy is what seems to be the real, the one that pulls you away into that suffering, really, because those desires are always well, they're not peaceful. They're always wanting something that, as you always say, it's coming from lack. It's not coming from that place. When you're watching, then you're already at peace. You're already whole. There's no need for anything else.
That's not to say that desire won't arise, though, from that place. From that just being with what is. Sometimes some strong desire will emerge in those moments, because life can then move as it wants to. And part of that process of expansion that we were just talking about of our life, it is desire, isn't it? But if we deeply get in touch with the desire, if we allow it exactly as it is, we'll find it doesn't actually disturb us, that we can want something without it bringing us out of that state, that quietness. If we just want what we want, most of us instead go into analysis as to why it's not going to come, or what happened last time we wanted it, or some thoughts around it that begin to desire in itself actually feels exciting, feels quite a pure thing. Remember when you were a child and you just like that night before Christmas feeling, that's the pure feeling of desire. Something good is coming. It's our thoughts about that desire and whether we deserve it, whether we're going to get it, all of that really feels bad. And if you're just allowing desire in its fullness, it will be hard to think about it. If you're just being with that desire when it arises, whatever it is for, it will eventually dissipate, and that is your work done in the process. Whatever it is will show up for you then.
If it's a true desire, you mean it will show up, or if, because some desires can be that they're coming from that wanting to change life as it is. So they're not sorry, I'm just trying to, I really appreciate the clarity you're bringing on this, because I've been denying desires. I've been denying them, saying you've got to try and get rid of them in a way.
They're almost a dirty word, aren't they, in spirituality? And for me, they came back even stronger upon clearer seeing, because these things I've been suppressing for a very long time, feeling I didn't deserve them, or whatever, they weren't going to happen anyway. But really, every desire has a true desire underneath it. Really, everything we could ever want, we want because we believe it will make us feel better. Even awakening, it'll feel better when we get it than we feel right now. So if we can allow those desires, but look at what it really is that we want. Do we want this thing or that thing? There's nothing wrong with having things, of course, but why do we want them? And is it for the feeling they'll give us? And wouldn't it be more direct than to go for the feeling that we want first, and allow life to supply the ways to supplement and agree with that feeling, rather than desires tend to be painful when we're saying, I need this thing because without it, I don't feel how I want to feel. And I did that with awakening for so long. When I get there, I'll feel good. And eventually I had to flip that on its head. I'll feel good, and then as good as I can. And then awakening will either happen or it won't. But it comes very quickly from that place, because you're not demanding anything of life. It's just doing it the other way around. And then it's easier to work with desire then. Because anything you could think of right now that you want, if we really looked at why you wanted it, it would be because you believe you'd feel better having it.
It make you happy.
Yeah.
Happy,
even awakening, right? When I'm at peace, I'll feel amazing,
Yeah.
So if I allow the desire in its fullness, I'll feel at peace anyway. And then my work is done in the creative process. Maybe I might have to examine a couple of thoughts that are in the way of that. I don't deserve this thing, or it can't come effortlessly. Life isn't that easy. Life's about striving, or whatever it is that we're believing. And just wanting what you want and being authentic to that desire, it's not going to be painful.
And so the feeling state comes from this, what the meditation we've just done, which is the peaceful feelings then that naturally occur as our natural state. And then you're ready.
Life starts to agree with that peace and the contentment that we're feeling.
Yeah.
Rather than the other way around. It never works the other way around. I tried 20 years or more to get it to work the other way around. It never did. Yeah. After a while, I think, hang on, maybe I've got this backwards. Like, instead of reaching for awakening or more money or whatever I felt I needed to make me feel better, why don't I do my best to feel as good as I can right now, like we've just been doing, and then see what happens to my life when I do that as consistently as I can. And it begins to, instead of reflecting my incompleteness, my not enoughness, life begins to reflect my sense of fullness and completion and joy and all of that.
Yeah, and then it's like who you really are. So I've just recently had that sense that the person I think I am, Sophie, is not going to get it. She's not going to wake up. She's not going to get awakening. So, and just that without needing that, without her wanting that, but who I am, awareness will be itself.
Yeah.
Is itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a lot simpler than we think, isn't it? I might never get it, but I already am it. So
yeah.
it's all okay in the end.
Yeah.
Thanks for your questions. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, that looks like a good place to leave it for tonight. Thank you all for being here with me. Namaste.